When were you diagnosed, and how did you know? How did you know something was wrong?
I knew something was wrong because I had been a runner and I noticed that others noticed for me, and then I noticed that I was limping a little bit. Nothing hurt, but it was, concerning and it wouldn't go away, concerning that I didn't have an injury of any sorts. And
How old were you at the time? I'm sorry to cut you off.
In my late 20s, let's say.
You were not even 30. You were not even 30.
Correct. And it probably took me a little too long to go to the doctor. And I will say, to anyone listening, I definitely didn't have that invincibility feeling that I know athletes always have. But I was thinking, like, okay, what's the worst this could be? Not much, And then the pandemic hits, kind of put a timeline hitch maybe in going to a doctor and all of those things. And eventually I went to an orthopedist, and that very quickly became a neurologist. And even then, I would say from the first neurologist I saw to when I got diagnosed, it was over a year. So ALS, as you may know, I would hope you were included into all of this as a kid when your grandfather had it, but maybe you ask these questions after. ALS is a diagnosis of elimination. There is no one blood test. It's not like you take this test, they see something, okay, you have it. And when, as you alluded to, we're not necessarily the typical case. Most ALS, the average ALS case is like a man in his 50s, let's say. Doctors are going to try to find every single other thing before they say, okay, this is what you have. So I probably went through at least 2 or 3 extra rounds of tests that I shouldn't have had to go through because they were not even considering ALS or not wanting to have that conversation with me. And I went through a handful of neurologists, and eventually I went to a new one who had seen other cases like me, had much more vast of a background in ALS, and he saw me for 10 minutes, did a couple things, looked at my chart and said, yeah, you have ALS. And I've explained this a lot, and I think it's worth noting. In some ways, it was a relief. I had spent a long time having no idea what was wrong with me, but knowing that things were not getting better and not able to take even the very bare bones minimum of medications that exist for ALS. I was taking nothing because we didn't know what was wrong with me. So finding out, even though obviously it's not a great diagnosis, it was, a devil and it was knowing exactly what it is you can say to doctors. You can figure out what's the absolute most you can do. So that was that moment. And then, since then it's just about continuing to work, continuing to watch baseball, do everything I love doing, and I'm so grateful that I've been able to do all of that.